Broncos. Give me one word to describe the Broncos.
That's tough.
At this point of the season.
One word?
Yeah.
I'm wordy. Give me one word to describe. Repeat the question.
One word to describe the Broncos at this point in the season. Want me to go? What is it? Lucky?
Lucky.
Yeah.
If you're looking for one word. I mean, when you have now I'll expand on that, but when you have a coach in Cleveland that does stupid things, when you have a quarterback that does stupid things, let's forget everything, the 1 point, let's forget the interception, let's forget everything else. You're in a position to win the game and you go backward like 3 consecutive plays and plus have a penalty for 5 yards and take yourself out of field goal range. That goes beyond this team. That is a mentality that exists there. I would like to think that the Broncos had a mentality from beginning in the 70s, and I'll go back to John Ralston, about 1975, the Broncos started having an attitude of, we're not that terrible, disgusting, awful team anymore that it was for 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the 60s.
Never had a winning record.
Midway through the 70s, that John Ralston brought some talent here. Red Miller came in with that tough, grinded out, kind of attitude. Sound like John Madden here. And the Broncos had that through Red Miller. They had it through Dan Reeves. They had it through Mike Shanahan. Then it got lost. Got lost toward the end of Mike's career here, but it really got lost with Josh McDaniels. I think the Broncos were fortunate to get it back as quickly as they did. The Cleveland Browns have had a losing mentality for going back to when the Ravens were the Cleveland Browns. Even though it's a new franchise, it's an expansion franchise, it's still the old Cleveland Browns.
Well, you could say in the Super Bowl era, their heyday was in the 80s when they would get to the AFC Championship game, but lost it 3 times to the Broncos.
But they never got over the hump.
Yeah.
They still had a losing mentality, even though they had Bernie Kosar and a lot of talent there. They still had a losing mentality. They haven't had a winning mentality there since the mid-'60s. You have to go back that far to Leroy Taylor.
They won
playing back up to Jimmy Brown,
back
to Otto Graham when they were playing in the United States Football League, and they won 4 or 5 consecutive championships. Came into the NFL, dominant team. You have losing breeds losing.
Yep.
So the Broncos got lucky against the Browns. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
They made some of it, but it was
they were lucky they were
lucky.
playing the Cleveland Browns, is what you're saying.
They were lucky the
right.
year before, the week before that, they were lucky they were playing the Oakland Raiders.
Yep.
The Raiders aren't good enough. Let's face it, they're not good enough. They were lucky they were playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who soiled the bed. Jamarl Charles fumbles twice. Andy Reid doesn't make the right call to say, let's go into overtime. You know, it's one thing when you got Peyton Manning and you're John Fox and you're playing Baltimore and you got 30 seconds. It's another thing when you're deep in your territory and you have let the Broncos back into the game and you're playing at home. This is an important game. They got lucky against Kansas City. You got to believe that. They got, I thought, pretty lucky in Detroit. That was a tight game until late in the game, and a lot of stuff happened defensively. So they've been lucky, and another word is they have been crushing.
On defense.
Crushing.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a word. Concerning. I think it's extremely concerning. I know they're 6-0.